Welcome to the deep dive. Today, we're looking into some really fascinating ancient wisdom, stuff that offers surprisingly practical insights, actually, for our lives right now.
hmm
We're diving into this extraordinary collection of teachings, and they're organized in a unique way into these powerful lists of 10.
Yeah.
Think of it like a framework for navigating being human, and maybe finding some real inner peace along the way.
And what's really compelling, I think, is that these aren't just like arbitrary lists somebody made up.
Right.
They're deeply interconnected principles drawn from historical texts, and they're really mapped out to show pathways,
Mm-hmm.
pathways to understanding your own mind, cultivating a really fulfilling life.
Okay.
And the insights, they can be, well, surprisingly relevant for anyone looking for personal growth, for clarity. Doesn't matter what your background is.
Okay, let's unpack this then. Our first big insight here. It's almost like laying the first brick, for a deeper inner life. These texts show this amazing sequence where simple morality, it seems, builds step by step into, well, genuine liberation.
Mhm.
How does that even start? What are the steps?
It's described as a really natural cascade, almost like organic growth, you could say.
Yeah.
The texts say these states just arise as a matter of course.
Mm-hmm.
If someone is grounded in ethical conduct, you don't have to force the next step. It
Yeah.
kicks off with skillful morality. So when your actions are consistently ethical, wholesome,
Mm-hmm.
harmless,
Mm-hmm.
you naturally develop non-regret of vipassara. There's no nagging feeling, no guilt hanging around.
Okay, so no baggage.
Right. And that absence of regret, that clarity, it opens the door to joy, Pamaja, a real sense of gladness.
So it's not just relief, like, phew, I didn't mess up, but an act of happiness that comes from that ethical base.
Exactly, yeah. It's a positive arising, and that joy, well, it can then bubble up into rapture or piti.
Right.
It's a powerful, almost like a thrilling delight. It can feel quite physical. Then that rapturous state, it settles. It calms down into deep tranquility, passaddhi, a profound stillness of body and mind.
Oh,
From that tranquility, happiness arises. Sukha. This is more steady, like an unshakable well-being. It's not really dependent on what's happening outside.
right, a deeper kind of happiness.
Yeah, and this happiness, it's a really powerful foundation.
Mm.
Leads directly to deep concentration, samadhi. The mind becomes focused, clear, unified.
And once the mind is concentrated like that,
Well, then it can open up. It gains knowledge and vision of things as they are. Yathabhutanya dasana. Seeing reality clearly.
seeing things as they truly are. Okay, that sounds like, well, ultimate clarity. What's the final step in this chain?
Seeing reality like that naturally leads to disillusionment and dispassion. You start to see unskillful states, attachments, for what they really are. Ultimately, they're unsatisfying, not worth clinging on to.
You just see through them.
Exactly. And finally, this disillusionment, this letting go,
Yeah.
it culminates in knowledge and vision of liberation. Vimuttinyadasana,
Mm-hmm.
a complete release,
Mm-hmm.
freedom from suffering.
So it's like this beautiful, complex set of dominoes. Each positive state just naturally knocks over the next one, building towards freedom.
Mm-hmm.
But what if that very first domino, that foundation of morality,
Mm-hmm.
what if it's weak? Or just not there at all? Does the whole thing just fall apart?
Oh, absolutely. The whole chain just unravels.
Mm.
If you lack skillful morality, there's no basis for non-regret.
Right.
Without non-regret, joy simply doesn't come up. And if there's no joy, then there's no rapture, no tranquility, no deep happiness, no
Mhm.
focused concentration, and crucially, no real knowledge or vision of things as they are.
But the whole pathway is blocked.
Completely.
Yeah.
Which means no true disillusionment, no dispassion,
Right.
and therefore ultimately no knowledge of liberation. The sources use this really powerful analogy. It's like a magnificent tree.
Mm-hmm.
If it lacks its branches and leaves, the outer signs of life, it also quickly loses its bark, its sapwood,
Mm-hmm.
and eventually its very heartwood.
Wow.
The whole structure just withers away from the outside in.
That's a really vivid image. It definitely drives home how even, seemingly small ethical choices you make day to day, how they could start this powerful chain reaction inside, leading to real well-being. It kind of asks the listener to think, how might just one tiny ethical shift in your routine, maybe choosing honesty when it's inconvenient, or, I don't know, kindness instead of snapping back, how might that start to ripple through your own inner experience? That tree analogy really does hit home the importance of that strong foundation. But, okay, as we try to build this foundation, what about the roadblocks? The hidden traps that can trip us up?
Right.
Our ancient guides seem brilliant at mapping these out too, almost like a diagnostic manual for the mind. But they also show what helps, right? What actually speeds up genuine growth.
Indeed, yeah. The texts describe 10 fetters, things that bind beings to existence, keeping us kind of stuck in cycles of suffering.
10 of them, okay.
And they group them. First, the 5 lower fetters. These are maybe more immediate, coarser attachments. One of the big ones is the personality view, Sakkayaditthi.
Which isn't just ego.
No, it's deeper. It's that ingrained, often unconscious belief in a solid, permanent, separate self, which, fuels so much suffering and attachment.
Right.
Then there's skeptical doubt, Vicikicca. Not just healthy questioning, but that crippling uncertainty about the path, about yourself. Can I even do this? Also, adherence to rites and rituals. Think of the rituals themselves are the goal, not just a tool. Then sensual desire, kamacchanda. And finally, ill will, Bhayapeta. Malice, anger.
Okay, those feel like maybe the more obvious obstacles. What about the higher ones? Are they trickier?
They are. They're more subtle. The 5 higher fetters. You've got craving for form, ruparaga, and craving for formlessness, aruparya. Well, it means attachment, even to really refined states of meditation. Desiring subtle sensory bliss, or even clinging to abstract, non-physical states achieved in deep focus. It's still attachment. It still keeps you bound.
Even the really good stuff can be a trap.
Exactly, if you cling to it. The other higher fetters are conceit, mana, subtle feelings of superiority perhaps, restlessness, udaka, and ultimately ignorance, avijja. Not just not knowing facts, but a fundamental misunderstanding of reality.
Okay, so fetters bind us. What else hinders progress?
Well, the sources also talk about specific mental blocks.
Yeah.
They identify 5 mind thorns and 5 mental bindings. These things actively stop the mind from, making an effort.
Mind thorns sounds painful.
They kind of are. They're doubts that pierce your resolve, doubt in the teacher or the teachings or the community or the training itself. And importantly, ill will towards people you're practicing with.
Yeah.
These states literally stop the mind from leaning into the practice.
So it feels like internal resistance, like hitting a wall.
Precisely. And then the 5 mental bindings. These are strong attachments, like attachment to sensual pleasures, obviously, but also attachment to the body itself, attachment to material forms, a tendency towards overeating and just sleeping too much.
Oh, interesting. Even that.
Yes. And even the desire for rebirth in a nice celestial realm.
Yeah.
Still a binding.
Huh.
When these hindrances are hanging around, the sources say your skillful qualities start to decline. They use this analogy of the waning moon.
Oh, okay.
How its brightness gradually diminishes. It's like your inner light just dims.
That's a powerful image, the inner light dimming. But okay, there's good news too, right? What qualities actually help us? What speeds up progress and helps someone become complete on this path?
Absolutely. The texts detail 5 qualities of a suitable practitioner. These are crucial. You need faith, trust in the path. Good health makes practice easier. Honesty, asathata, being straightforward, not deceitful. Ardent effort, viryama, and wisdom, panya.
Okay, internal qualities. What about outside factors?
Right, the environment matters too. There are 5 qualities of a supportive environment. A place to practice that's not too far or too close. Accessible.
Practical.
Yeah. Quiet, free from, pests and annoyances. Easy access to basics like food and medicine. And importantly, having wise, learned friends nearby. People who can clarify your doubts, offer guidance.
So community and conditions are key supports.
Definitely. And to become truly complete, as the texts say, or supreme, you need to actively abandon 5 key unskillful qualities. Sensual desire, ill will, sloth and torpor, that mental heaviness, restlessness and remorse, mind buzzing all over, and skeptical doubt.
The big 5 hindrances.
Exactly. And in their place, you cultivate and possess 5 higher qualities. Higher virtue, higher concentration, higher wisdom, higher liberation, and finally, the knowledge and vision of that higher liberation. It's this constant process, really. Shedding what binds you, embracing what frees you.
That's a lot to take in. You don't have to be a full-time monk or anything to connect with this. I'd really encourage you listening to maybe reflect. See if one of these mind thorns or fetters might be subtly showing up in your own life. Maybe that little nagging doubt about what you can achieve, or some attachment that just keeps pulling you back. How could you start to cultivate a more supportive inner dwelling, and begin to shed what's weighing you down? Let that inner light shine a bit brighter.
Okay, building on that idea, shedding the negative, cultivating the positive, let's look at the goal. the ultimate attainment. What does a fully enlightened being look like internally? The sources call it a lion's roar of understanding. What gives someone that kind of, well, absolute clarity and mastery?
Well, connecting this to the bigger picture, the sources describe the 10 powers of a Tathagata. That's a term for an enlightened one, like the Buddha.
10 powers, okay.
And importantly, these aren't really superpowers in the way we might think. They're profound, deep understandings of reality itself.
Ah, okay. Not flying or anything. Not necessarily, no. For instance, one power is the knowledge of universal paths. That's not just knowing about different religions. It's understanding the fundamental principles that guide any journey towards liberation, whatever the cultural form. It points to this amazing unity underneath all the diversity.
That's a big perspective.
It is. Another is the knowledge of the results of karma, kamma vipaka. Understanding precisely how actions past, present, future create consequences. Cause and effect, completely understood.
So a total grasp at interconnectedness on a huge scale.
Exactly. Other powers include knowing what's possible and impossible, understanding the elements that make up the world, the different inclinations and faculties of beings, how different people learn and grow. Also, understanding meditative states, what defiles them, what purifies them.
Deep psychological insight, too.
Very deep. Plus, the ability to recollect past lives. And the divine eye, seeing how beings are reborn according to their karma. And finally, the ultimate power, the knowledge and vision of liberation from all defilement. Savakayanya. Complete freedom. These 10 together show this supreme, unshakable understanding.
That is an incredible scope. Just,
Right.
oh, wow. But how do you actually get rid of those deep-seated negative qualities? The defilements. Is it just about stopping yourself from acting out, or is it something deeper?
That's a really crucial distinction the texts make.
Yeah.
Some unskillful actions, yeah, they can be abandoned physically or verbally.
Yeah.
Like someone points out a bad habit, or you consciously decide to stop doing something.
Right.
But the deeper stuff, these like fundamental greed, hatred, delusion, those can't really be abandoned just like that. Same goes for anger, resentment, hypocrisy, envy, stinginess.
Or what the texts call evil desires.
Evil desires, like what?
Like pretending to be something you're not. Claiming you have faith when you don't, or pretending to be wise when you're actually confused. That kind of inauthenticity. Okay, so you can't just grit your teeth and make those disappear. How do they go away?
They're only truly abandoned, the texts say, by seeing them with wisdom.
Seeing them with wisdom.
Yeah, it's not just stopping the behavior. It's seeing the true nature of greed or hatred, seeing its inherent problems, its instability, its danger. It's like, imagine being lost in a desert, desperate for water, completely obsessed with the mirage.
Okay.
And then suddenly you see it for what it is, just shimmering light, worthless. The desire just vanishes. Not because you forced it away, but because your perception fundamentally shifted. That's seeing with wisdom.
Ah, the seeing itself transforms the desire.
Exactly. The texts use another analogy, like a poor person constantly claiming they're rich. The claim doesn't make it true, right?
Mm-hmm.
Similarly, claiming you have knowledge or purity doesn't mean anything if those defilements still overwhelm you when tested. True knowledge is proven when they just don't have power over you anymore.
So it's about genuine inner change, not just putting on a show.
Okay. Now, speaking of deep inner states, the sources mention something that sounds quite esoteric.
Yeah.
The kasina bases for meditation. What are those? Colors and elements. How do they lead to insight?
Right, the kasinas. They are specific objects used to develop really powerful concentration. Very focused states of mind.
Okay.
There are 10. You can focus on an earth kasina, like a clay disc, or water, fire, air. Then there are color kasinas, blue, yellow, red, white. And finally, space and even consciousness itself as the object.
How does staring at, say, a blue disc help?
By intensely concentrating on one, let's say the blue kasina, the meditator learns to expand that perception, seeing blue everywhere, upward, downward, across, undivided, limitless. But the profound insight isn't just about seeing blue everywhere.
No. It's about understanding the nature of that experience, seeing its impermanence, how it arises, how it passes away, the potential dangers of clinging even to that vastness. That deep understanding of the kasina's nature contributes to inner peace, to what the texts call the gain of meaning, a direct grasp of ultimate reality.
Wow. So even these intense practices come back to understanding impermanence and letting go. That distinction you made earlier between outward appearance and real inner transformation, it really makes you think, doesn't it? Where in your own life could seeing with wisdom, truly seeing something for what it is, lead to a real shift. Not just a temporary fix, but a genuine change. Okay, let's shift gears a bit now. We've talked a lot about individual growth, inner states, but how do these principles play out in groups, in communities? What makes things fall apart, and what actually builds harmony?
The sources are really practical about this, too. They identify 10 roots of contention, specific things that cause disputes within a community like a monastery, but it applies more broadly.
10 roots of fighting. Okay.
And interestingly, a lot of them boil down to disagreements about fundamentals. Debating what is or is not the Dhamma, the core teaching, or the Vinaya, the rules or code of conduct.
So arguments about interpretation.
Exactly. Was this really said by the teacher or not? Is this how it's supposed to be practiced or not? Was this rule actually laid down or not? There's also a second set about disciplinary issues, calling something an offense when it isn't, or vice versa. Often it's not necessarily malice, but these deep disagreements on the basics that fracture a group.
So it's often not just personality clashes, but actual differences in understanding the shared foundation.
That seems to be the core issue identified here, and the texts stress the karmic consequences are huge,
Sure.
causing a schism, breaking apart a harmonious community. The texts say that can lead to suffering in a lower realm for an entire eon, a vast period of time.
Wow. Serious stuff.
But conversely, actively promoting unity, bringing people together, that's said to lead to immense joy in a higher realm for an eon. It really highlights how much value is placed on collective harmony, on respect.
Those are definitely weighty consequences. Okay, so given how easily disputes can arise and how serious they can be, what practical advice is there for resolving conflict? Especially if you need to, admonish someone, point out a problem. There must be a right way to do it.
There is, and it's very carefully laid out. It's not just what you say, but how you say it, and crucially, your own state of mind.
Right.
Before you even think about admonishing someone, the advice is to do 5 self-reflections. First, check yourself. Is my own bodily conduct pure? Is my verbal conduct pure? Am I walking the talk?
Got to check your own backyard first.
Exactly. Second, cultivate loving kindness towards the person.
Yeah.
Your motive has to be their welfare, not just to criticize or win an argument. Third, be learned. Know the teachings relevant to the situation. Fourth, have a thorough grasp of the rules or principles involved.
Okay, so be prepared and have the right intention. What about the actual speaking?
Right. Then there are 5 conditions for how to speak. Speak at the right time, not in anger, not publicly if it should be private. Speak truthfully, speak gently, not harshly. Speak beneficially, what you say should actually help. And always, always speak with a mind of loving kindness. Metta.
Wow. That's a high bar for giving feedback, but it makes sense. It's all about constructive communication rooted in purity and compassion.
Precisely.
So beyond fixing problems, what about just building a strong, positive community from the start? What qualities make someone, a good member of the group, someone who fosters that harmony?
There are 10 qualities listed that lead to amiability, respect, and unity. Foundational things, really. Living a life of morality, sila. Being learned to bahusutta, understanding the teachings. Cultivating good friendships, kalyapikata. Being docile to instruction, suvakasata. Open to feedback yourself.
Ah, important.
Yes. Being diligent in community tasks, ginkaresudakaka. Having a real love of the Dhamma, dhammakamata. Maintaining ardent effort, arthavirya, in your own practice. Cultivating contentment, sattufosi. Practicing mindfulness, sati-susati. And possessing wisdom, panya. These make you not just strong individually, but a real asset to any group.
That list really covers a lot. Okay, now for something maybe a bit unexpected, the sources also include this quite specific warning list.
Yeah.
The 10 dangers of a renunciant entering a royal palace.
Right.
It seems kind of niche, maybe just historical, but I wonder if there are broader lessons there about, staying focused when you're surrounded by worldly temptations or power dynamics.
I think that's exactly why it's included. It raises this important question about engaging with the world, especially centers of power and wealth, even if you're dedicated to an inner path.
So what are the dangers?
You can group them. There's reputational risk. Just being seen interacting with royalty, especially the queen or concubines, even innocently, could lead to suspicion or gossip. There's political entanglement, getting drawn into palace intrigue, family squabbles, maybe being seen as trying to influence the king, dangerous territory.
Definitely.
And perhaps the most universal danger is just spiritual distraction. A royal palace is filled with alluring sights, sounds, smells, tastes, comforts. It's the opposite of a simple, focused environment. It pulls the mind away from practice.
Makes sense.
So the broader lesson, I think, is about discernment, about setting boundaries, recognizing how your environment, even seemingly innocent or prestigious interactions can subtly pull you off course. It's about protecting your inner commitment wherever you are.
That's a really fascinating point, and it brings it back to us, doesn't it? Think about how these principles handling disagreements, communicating with kindness, being a supportive member, staying focused amidst distractions, how they can apply in your own life. In your workplace, your family, any group you're part of. It's about fostering harmony, yes, but also protecting your own inner path. All right, as we start to wrap up this deep dive, let's finish with something really powerful. A comparison that kind of hits you between the eyes. How does chasing, say, vast material wealth compare to cultivating your inner life in the grand scheme of things?
Yeah, the Sakya Sutta presents this absolutely striking contrast. It really challenges our usual ideas about what's valuable, what success means.
Okay, lay it on us.
Imagine someone spending their whole life, maybe 100 years, just accumulating stuff, wealth, possessions, status.
The standard dream for many.
Right. But the text says, even with all that, that person might not find a single day or even a single night of pure, genuine happiness, unadulterated joy.
Not one day, even with everything.
That's the assertion. Now, contrast that with a disciple, someone seriously practicing the teachings, even if they practice earnestly for just one day and one night.
Just one day.
Just one day and night following the path. That person, the text says, can experience pure happiness for hundreds of thousands of years, potentially across countless lifetimes, and maybe even attain higher states of liberation like stream entry, once returning, non-returning.
Wow. The return on investment is just astronomical.
It's incomparable, really. It completely reframes what wealth means. It suggests the lasting value of spiritual investment absolutely dwarfs fleeting material gain.
That is, yeah, truly profound. Makes you think. So, okay, if someone is committed to this kind of inner work, the spiritual path, or even just serious personal growth, what are the daily reminders, the reflections the sources suggest to keep that internal investment going?
Well, there are 10 reflections outlined, mainly for renunciants, but honestly, they're incredibly valuable for anyone serious about growth. They really ground you and foster self-awareness.
Okay,
Things like reflecting on your new appearance or role, how you present yourself now. Reflecting on your dependence on others, acknowledging interconnectedness. On the need for new behavior that aligns with your values. Regularly doing a self-assessment of your morality.
Checking in with yourself.
Exactly. Also, considering how wise peers might assess your conduct. Reflecting on the inevitability of separation from loved ones, understanding impermanence on a personal level. Remembering you're the owner and heir of your actions, your karma. Thinking about how your time is actually spent day and night. Finding delight in seclusion sometimes for inner work. And finally, honestly, assessing the authenticity of your spiritual attainments. Are they real or just ideas?
That's a very grounding list. Very practical self-awareness checks.
Absolutely. And just to further ground all these profound ideas, the texts even mention 10 conditions based on the body. Simple realities. Cold, heat, hunger, thirst, needing to use the bathroom. The basic physical needs. Also the need for restraint, bodily, verbal, and in your livelihood. And even mentioning the volitional formations leading to new existence. The karmic impulses tied to our embodiment. It just reminds us that this whole profound path, it's lived right here, in this body, with all its demands and limitations.
Right. It's not somewhere else, it's right here. This really does raise a big question for all of us, doesn't it? Listening right now. What is your ultimate measure of wealth, of success? How might even a small but consistent investment in your inner cultivation, using some of these principles we've talked about, how might that yield results far beyond anything you currently imagine? So we've journeyed through these incredible lists of 10 today, unpacking these interconnected pathways to, well, wisdom, harmony, and ultimately liberation. It's pretty amazing how these ancient insights, framed so clearly, offer such a comprehensive guide for flourishing, even thousands of years on.
It really is remarkable. And, there's always more to learn. These concepts aren't just intellectual curiosities. They're invitations. Invitations to explore, to reflect honestly, and to actually integrate them into the fabric of your daily life. It takes courage, takes application.
Absolutely. So here's a final thought to ponder. If simply understanding the nature of things as they truly are holds the key to ultimate happiness and freedom, what seemingly ordinary, everyday part of your life, if you looked at it with fresh eyes, with real, unadulterated insight, what might that reveal as your very next step towards genuine liberation?